I was expecting to have a host here to introduce everybody, but apparently we don't. So first off, I just want everybody in the room to take a big, deep breath and relax after that lunch in our last session.
I needed that, thank you.
We're here, we're among family, and we want to talk with you guys a little bit about Kubernetes. And Kubernetes not as the technical part of Kubernetes, but Kubernetes as the community. And why, for me, and I think for everybody on the panel here, Kubernetes is far more than just some technical solution. It's a community, it's a family, it's a place where we feel respected and cared about, and where we get to make meaningful contributions in our day-to-day lives and how we came to that. And so first off, I guess I should introduce myself. My name's Jason. I'm feeling a little formal here, so don't get too excited, Kris.
Okay.
Don't get too excited.
Sorry.
It's also kind of warm up here. So I work for a company called iNNOVO. I started working with Kubernetes about 4-ish years ago, almost 5. It's been a while. And it took me until this year to get membership. I made my first contribution 4 years ago. Actually was just going through some random emails and saw that I ran into an issue with you on some Nginx Inc. controller a while back. But I always felt really intimidated by the community and intimidated by the standards that the community put forth, and felt like I didn't meet those standards to become a member of the Kubernetes organization. And it wasn't until DIMS came forward and said, hey, you need to apply for membership. It wasn't even optional. It was just like, you've been doing too much. I'm sick of reviewing all of your stuff. Come apply, start doing your stuff. And that was the first time that I really felt like maybe I was good enough. Imposter syndrome is pretty common, I would say, for most of us. But yeah, that's my story. And so I wanted to kind of bring that forward and talk to some of the people in the community here about that, and bring our stories forward and talk to you about maybe why you should join and why you should be a contributor if you aren't already. Just out of curiosity, how many contributors do we have in the audience? Awesome.
How many people wish they were contributors but aren't?
Hell yeah. Let's give a hand to those people. And for those people who aren't, I'm fairly certain that people who are probably willing to take the time to mentor you if you're willing to put in the effort to become a member of the community. So please pay attention to those people, approach those people. We're all just people. So just come up, say hi, ask for help, ask how you can get started. So that's my introduction. James.
Yeah, my introduction is nowhere near as long as that. But yeah, my name's James Munnelly. I'm from the UK and work for a company called JetStack. Yeah, I was completely unprepared for this, so I'm definitely pulling this out my ears. Yeah, I think that's the expression. But yeah, I work on a number of different projects around the community, notably Cert Manager, which you may have heard of. Yeah.
James is all over everywhere. Speaking of being all over everywhere.
I'm Nikhita. I am from India and I work for a company called Loodse. And I've been involved in the community since 2017. And I'm involved in some things.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Cyrine. I'm working at iNNOVO. I started contributing some months ago, not too much, but it's
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Nova, and I don't work anywhere right now. I climb a lot of mountains, and in the past I've contributed to Kubernetes both professionally and personally. So I have like different experiences from both. If anyone wants to talk about it later, let me know.
Right on. So the very first question that I actually have is, why did you start contributing to Kubernetes? And we'll start with you, Kris.
Why did I first start contributing to Kubernetes? That's a great question. I don't know how involved I want to go here. I was going through a transition, and it was hard for me, so I got this new contracting gig, and they were like, yeah, Kubernetes is important. And I was like, sure, I'll do whatever. And I started working on Kubernetes, and I started working on this tool called COPS, Kubernetes COPS. And I have strong opinions about how software should be structured and how it should work. And because of those strong opinions, I was somewhat successful at my job, but like more importantly, I took it personally and started contributing in my free time. And then, you know, fast forward a year or two, and I was a COPS maintainer, and I don't think I'm one anymore. I think that like we changed the rules or something, and I don't really know what happened there. But yeah, I was contributing to COPS, and then like other things became important, and I started contributing there as well, and that's kind of my jam.
So same question for you, Cyrine.
So at the beginning, I don't have any idea about Kubernetes. So to be honest, I have a lot of questions. How I can about Kubernetes, and this is the key. How start contributing to look for answers for my questions. For that, I was asking a lot of people how I can find those answers. For me, contributing wasn't easy at the first time. I found a lot of people who helped me. I found a lot of people who helped me to to understand this project and a lot of things around Kubernetes. I think my first contribution was just to enable firewalls in Ubuntu machines. I know it's a small thing, but it's my first step to run into the Hollow.
Awesome. So why did you make your first contribution?
Honest answer, because it was the next cool thing that was in the ecosystem. Yeah. But more seriously, I was in college. I wanted to like learn software engineering, learn all the like how to ship software and learn about everything. And I saw that open source was the next cool thing too. I knew a little bit of Go, and the most popular project in Go was Kubernetes. So I got started. I applied to an internship program called Google Summer of Code, did the internship, but I realized that I really, really love working with this community, and I love the people, so I stayed and I contributing after that.
I still remember the first time you DM'd me on Slack and were like, hey, I want to contribute to Kubernetes.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty intimidated at first too. People in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I also just finished university or college, and I actually started a job where I remember they said, have you heard of Docker? Have you heard of Kubernetes? And I hadn't, so like went away that evening and then just started reading about all of this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is the next cool thing, like you say. And we were just kind of using Kubernetes there, and obviously, like this, we weren't a business that were focused on building it or contributing to it. We were just using it. And as I worked with them more, this was quite early on, so there were a lot of problems, and we had a lot of outages and this, that, and the other. I'm sure we can all relate to that. And so I kind of, yeah, I necessarily was then getting more and more involved, asking questions, and just like you say, Nikhita, it's like you start to, like your questions get answered really, really quick, and you have people that are really supportive and really helpful. and I didn't. It just got to the point where I needed, again, I needed to go and get some TLS certificate or something like that. And after searching loads, there was no one good way, so I picked it up and started working on some things. And over time, it was just like I want to do this more and more, and it just became frustrating working on things that are only internal in some company with all of this cool stuff going on. So I just got more and more involved. And I don't know, somehow I'm here.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of feel that way. It's like, yeah, that thing that I started playing with 3 or 4 years ago, or even a few months ago, like, holy crap, have you seen how many people are here? Like, the first KubeCon I went to could have fit in half of the exhibitor hall. Yeah. It's incredible to see the growth that we've had. So it's awesome. And it's thanks to people not just like you, it's literally thanks to you. So thank you. So this is kind of an interesting one. And we're going to jump around a bit. So Nikhita, what do you gain out of contributing to Kubernetes? What do you get out of it? Because you certainly don't do it as a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. Like I said, I stayed for the people. I think it's that sense of, like, the most important thing to me right now is like it's a sense of belonging to a community, and I think that's the biggest thing I gain out of it more than anything. It's not features. It's not being on a stage here or nothing like that. It's just that feeling of belonging to the community. That's it.
James?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose, again, like you say, it is that community kind of feel. It's just, having people there that you can talk to and actually really connect with. And yeah, sometimes over technology and whatever else, but just having that there is really great. I mean, I don't want to rave about Slack, but just having that like Slack team with all those people there, it's kind of something else. Maybe it's just I'm early on in my life, but I don't think there's quite been something like that before, where you've just got these technical communities that are immediately there. You're right in saying it's not a 9-to-5 thing. I couldn't actually define the hours that I think anyone works, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Having a new friends who help me every single day to achieve my goals.
Why do I contribute to Kubernetes? At first it was for a paycheck. And then as that moved forward, as I wrote my book, Cloud Native Infrastructure, I developed really strong opinions about how things should be done. And I was frustrated that they weren't being done that way. And I thought it could be better. So I took it upon myself to try to encourage other people to see the same thoughts that I did. And then, life goes on and that project gets handed off to other individuals. And then I contributed to Kubernetes for a while in the past year, although I don't think my employer at the time really valued it. So I kind of took some time off. But now that I'm unemployed, I'm really excited about jumping back into it and getting to do what I believe in now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll jump around again, and I'll start with you, Kris.
Okay.
This time. What advice would you give to all of these folks here and the folks who are going to watch in the future on YouTube, wherever else, about contributing to Kubernetes for the first time?
Raise your hand if you have DM'd one of us on stage. Okay. Next year, I would like to see more hands go up.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
lots.
And what I mean by that is, like, sincerely, like, we're real people. Nobody here is like special, or we didn't like go through any crazy training, or we don't have any like magic status. Just talk to people and DM them. For instance, earlier today, I saw the person who merged my first PR to Kubernetes And he was just sitting outside in one of the courtyards, and I just like waved to him and just walked up to him and gave him a hug, and it was just like not a big deal. I've just known him for forever, and life's good. So yeah.
I don't think there's anybody, even the 7 of the 4 founding members of Kubernetes, and if you don't get that joke, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
That are not totally the most approachable human beings I've ever met.
Yeah, and I can probably point out 3 or 4 people here just in the audience who I would say like message them, like they're great resources as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like just find people. If there's somebody, if there's some area that you're interested in, you see a issue you want to work on, talk to people about it. Or even just like, one of my favorite things that I've seen people do like for their first contribution is try to /CC themselves to an issue, and then the bot says, hey, you're not a member, you can't have this issue CC'd to yourself, and then see somebody else come onto the issue and be like, hey, did you actually want to pick this up? Here, let's work on this together.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that you're interested on picking up, like go on the issue and say, I want to work on this, because I will work with you on it. I don't think anybody up here won't take the time to work with you on it. We want your help. We need your help, not just to make the community better, but to make the software better and to like be awesome. So please come and join. Like, don't be afraid to say something.
I would say if I had one like message, and like somebody should tweet this or something, but like if I had one message about contributing to Kubernetes, it's ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Like we are begging people to come and contribute, and just please just come and do it. You don't need somebody to sign off. You don't need anything. Just like start reviewing PRs and just start doing what you got to do to get stuff done.
Absolutely. So James, your advice.
Yeah. So in a way, I guess my advice would be, like at the beginning you asked who is a contributor already, you know, who isn't. Like, I don't know at what point you do become a contributor. I imagine the majority of the people there who put their hands up and said, you know, I'm not yet, you probably are a contributor, right? I don't know what SIGs I'm a member of. Other people just randomly go, oh yeah, you're with SIG testing or something. And I'm like, oh, cool, am I? And it's like, it just kind of comes about because, I don't know, I had questions, and then I was asking loads of questions, drawing on other people's knowledge, and then someone comes along and asks a question, and I actually know that one, so I just kind of jump in. And yeah, I would just say, like, don't worry about the labels. Things like the CCing and all of that, it sounds like, I think Kubernetes has not quite a bot problem, but machines aren't the most friendly thing, and I think things like not being able to CC yourself and assign something, that's more because, you know, GitHub won't let us actually assign someone if you're not a member of that org. But like, anyone can do it. Getting into that org, I remember I really fretted about, oh, is that list of things long enough? But I realize now when you see it, like just a few comments here and there, and just the fact that you're, you know, you've been chatting to people on Slack, you're a member, you're contributing straight away. So I would question whether the majority of you aren't contributors as it is. I think it's, yeah, that's the imposter syndrome, I think. That is it.
Can we do a show of hands?
Hmm?
Can we do a show of hands?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who here is a contributor but is not a member?
If you have opened a GitHub issue, if you have commented on a GitHub issue, if you have helped somebody in the Slack at all and answered a question, if you have asked a question in Slack, you have contributed to Kubernetes. If you've been on Stack Overflow, if you've been on the Discord, you are contributing.
So who's done any one of those things now? Right.
There we go. Hell yeah. That's what we're talking about. So, the bar is where it should be now. That imposter syndrome should go away. Your contributors, thank you. So, now, going to the actual status symbol of the membership. So, This is where I think some of you were drawing that bar before. That's not being a contributor, that's being a member, that's having the responsibility of saying, I, as an individual, am going to help others become contributors. So you're already almost all contributors. If you aren't, you probably are anyways. You're just not telling yourself that. So becoming a member, though, there is some requirements to that. And the requirements have actually been defined, thankfully, finally, and somewhat automated. I think some of us remember going in when that wasn't a thing, and it was slightly terrifying, where you didn't know what the requirements were. So what would you say to somebody who's looking to gain membership in the organization? We'll start with you, Nikhita.
So are you like asking for advice or?
Yeah. What do you think that they need to be aware of?
So like the requirements technically are, so like you are supposed to create an issue on a repo called Kubernetes/org, and we just ask that you list your contributions. It doesn't really have to be pull requests. It doesn't have to be issues. It could be anything. It could be community management. It could be just note taking. It could be anything that you're doing in the community, and you require sponsorship from 2 existing members who are not of the same company. And that's important because we don't, we want to keep it vendor neutral and not like give power in the hands of like one company. And I think that makes sense too. So that's the technical requirements.
Okay. And for the softer requirements, or not necessarily requirements, but what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about becoming a member?
So, so when I applied for membership, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I still do, and I had already submitted a design proposal. I had already like had a feature merged in. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I was thinking I don't really need to be a member because why should I be a member? And I felt like I didn't deserve to be a member. I think if you are doing, I feel like if you have contributed in any form and just apply to be a member, like just apply to be a member. Don't think so much about it. And especially if you're like submitting code contributions, it helps if you're a member, like you can do an LGTM on a pull request. So if you are interested in reviewing code and you're doing lots of it already, definitely apply to be a member.
Certainly. And Kris, what would you have to say?
Again, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. If you've contributed in any way, issues, pull requests, comments, thoughts, ideas, even if you would spin in Slack, like those contributions are valid. If you need a +1 from someone, hi, I'm right here, add me. And I'm sure everybody else in the panel would echo that same sentiment. And I'm sure everybody else in the room who's a member would also echo that same sentiment. And then I think in general, like, I personally don't like the Kubernetes monorepo. And if you want to join Kubernetes SIGs, there's plenty of code there as well. And so being a member isn't everything. Like I have 1 contribution to Kubernetes core, but I have like thousands of contributions to everything else. And that's where I've like made everything happen, is because of those ideas. So like, there's nothing special about being a member of Kubernetes. The thing here is we just want you to contribute and want you to be proud of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the membership status is, as much as it is a cool thing personally to me that I achieved this,
Yeah.
as a status in the community, it doesn't really mean a lot. There's a lot of people who do a lot of work on, docs and just reviewing, there's a guy named Timo who's at the booth next to us. He's not a member, but he's certainly a contributor. He works for Giant Swarm and has done a huge amount of work in talking about, on all kinds of cluster lifecycle docs, hey, we've tried this, we've experienced this. No upstream contribution from GitHub whatsoever, but he's a huge upstream contributor without that.
I guarantee you there's people here at this conference who have never contributed to Kubernetes/Kubernetes, who every person in this room is running their code right now. Yeah.
Guaranteed. Absolutely. So we've only got a few minutes left. So this is something that is important to all of us in our day-to-day lives, but especially when you're working with Kubernetes, and we've mentioned it's not a 9 to 5. So what is the biggest skill you have in contributing to Kubernetes? We'll start with you, Cyrine.
You shouldn't have a skill to start contributing in Kubernetes. You should have just motivation to contribute. If you want to do something, you can do it.
Absolutely. I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
That kind of says the whole thing right there. We all have skills. It doesn't matter which one we want to use. We need it. Desperately, we need it. So, to close things out, first off, I'd like to say thank you to all of you for coming and taking the time and being part of this panel. That's awesome. And also thank you to everyone here in the room. Give yourself a round of applause for being here, for being part of this. Awesome. And last but not least, on a very personal note, Nova, would you kindly color me?
Wait, really?
Like really.
Like right now?
Like right now.
Yeah, okay. You have to give it back though.
We'll see about that.
Suits you.
Thank you.
You should keep it.
Should I? Oh. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your con. Take care.
Kris?
And most importantly, don't forget to tell other people, hey, I'm a Kubernetes contributor. Here's how you can contribute too.